everyone. My name is Kristen Justice, and I'm a licensed associate counselor in New Jersey. And we are here to talk to you about mental health awareness. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so we thought it would be important for us to get together and talk about various topics and issues that we see in our workplace as we all work in therapy and counseling settings. So we're going to bring up different topics as well as share some helpful tips and tools that you can take away so you can enhance your mental and emotional well-being.
Hi, I'm Amber, and I am currently a school counselor in Delaware, the lower part of Delaware. Previously, I was a special education teacher, and I thoroughly enjoy what I do.
Hi, my name is Andres Wooders. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I currently work at a private practice with adolescents and kids and young adults.
Hi, my name is Kenesha Bailey. I'm a behavioral support specialist, and I currently work in a pre-K school.
Okay, so we have two of you that work in a school setting. Andres, there was a period of time that you also worked in a school setting as a counselor as well, right? So I would imagine that all of you guys probably have some similar and shared experiences of things that you saw or currently see. So Amber, for you, what do you think is important for us to address for Mental Health Awareness Month relating to how to support kids in their mental health?
The main thing is to make sure that we are aware of what our emotions are and identifying them. Emotions aren't scary things. It's just letting us know how our body is feeling, when it's feeling it, what around us is causing it to feel. So just identifying those emotions. For example, like joy is just showing us that something around us is attributed to our values or things that we like and interest. Or we're sad. There's something that is affecting us that is around us that maybe we've lost or trauma that's affected us. Angry, something just is interfering with our boundaries. So just identifying and being aware of the emotions that we have and then how to handle those once they come about.
Yeah. What are some ways you think it's important to help for like parents to help their kids with identifying how they're feeling, especially where kids a lot of times, like especially elementary age, like they show us in their body language, they show us in their behaviors, they show us in like their interactions with one another how they're feeling, but they have a hard time articulating that. What do you think would be helpful for parents and or teachers too when they're noticing like they often like the label, especially our kids in our community, like they're behaviorally, they're angry, but maybe it's just that the kids don't have the tools to like articulate what they're feeling. So what do you think will help teachers and parents?
Well, for starters, in my school, outside of my room, I have a bulletin board that says it's okay to feel what you feel. Feel all the feels. Because they're not scary. It's not something we should run away from or ignore. So for parents, whatever your child is feeling, embrace that. Allow them to feel it. I work with pre-K and kindergarten right now, so they have no idea what the emotions are. So at this point, at this level, we're identifying what it is, what it feels like, how our body reacts when we're feeling those emotions. So making sure that we're not hindering it or saying like suck it up buttercup like you used to say before, but actually allowing that time and that time for them to express themselves even at that early age because they're not able to or have learned how to express their emotions. So be open about it. Like, don't, it's nothing to be scared about. It could be a learning experience for both because unfortunately adults now still don't know how to identify their own emotions. So learn together what the emotion is that they're feeling.
Yeah, that's really good, especially like just to feel all the feelings. And you brought a great point that even I work with kids, but ages 5 to 12, but I usually have just 10 to 12 because the 5-year-olds can be tricky because you have to have parents on board too and understanding. So what you said too, recognize how it feels in your body, because I think a lot of times we think about our feelings in our head, but we don't realize like we actually feel our feelings. Like a lot of times when you work with a client, especially with adults, I'm like, when they say I'm anxious, like how do you know? How would you know in your body? Like where do you feel that? So recognizing that within your nervous system too helps you with recognize like, oh, when I have a tight chest, that could be meaning I'm scared or something. So I think that is important too, with letting kids recognize like you feel your feelings in your body as well as thinking about what they're feeling. For you, Nisha and Andres, what are you guys' thoughts around like helping kids in the elementary age group when you guys are in kids? Because Nisha, you're in pre-K and K as well. What do you notice about like kids and trying to express their emotions too?
Honestly, like Amber said, it's hard for them to express their emotions because they're so young. They don't know how to say or how to show, or like if they're angry, they don't know how to just get out of that funk. They don't know how to just be like, all right, I'm over it. You know what I mean? They can express, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm mad, but they don't know how to get out of it.
Right.
And a lot of things that I've noticed with the kids is when you express that to the parents, they're like, oh, they're all right, they're fine, you know.
Right.
And that's the hard part, because it's like we all have to be on the same accord. And how can we help them if we're just teaching it in the school but not teaching it at home as well?
Right.
So that's a lot of the issues that we run into at my center.
Okay, like finding that connection with the parents who are understanding, get everybody on one page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about for you, Andres? What do you think has come up? You work with kind of older kids in the school settings, right?
Right. But older kids too. It's like unfortunately it's a lot of brush off. Like like I'll get through it. I'll listen to some music, and you can. I mean, I think music is a great coping skill, but also like accepting the feeling. Like you were going back to what you're saying, accepting the feeling, and recognizing you feel that. Especially when it comes to guys, they don't want to express. I felt embarrassed, or I felt anxiety, or I felt uncomfortable.
Right.
Because we have, unfortunately, they've learned not to feel weak or things of that nature. So it's really just giving them, just the ear and somebody that they can talk to, and just that they have somebody that they can trust with their feelings.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Kind of creating the atmosphere for like kids to be able to express it and to learn and to know that like here's a safe person that I can talk to about it. So creating that for them. Amber, what are your thoughts around helping kids with building healthy relationships? So because you don't really know how you feel, some kids that like maybe more aggressive in their behaviors, or there may be a kid that's a little bit more shy, who sits maybe in their embarrassment more, they have trouble connecting. What are some things that you see around how to help kids with building better connections with each other?
For starters, making sure that you're exposing them to their interests. So you got to get to know them first on what they like, what they care for, and exposing them, especially in academics. I do not believe that a child is going to learn unless they feel comfortable, unless they feel safe, unless they feel loved and wanted and secure. So I need to get to know you better. And once I get to know you better, then you'll start to open up, I feel, once we have that connection. So building it around their interests. So if we're doing things, and I know you love, for instance, Spider-Man, guess what? We're doing a Spider-Man calm down video, like, because you can relate to Spider-Man. Now we're going to talk about calming down too with Spider-Man. So you just got to get to know the student, but also put in like what they like, as well as to what you're teaching them together, and saying, hey, we can do it together, but also doing it on a consistent basis. Practicing that in school, and then also teaching the parent and showing them that you can do this at home too. It's not just a one way, like just at school type thing. It's a whole village. So we got to keep everybody informed, on the same page, build that connection, that relationship with the families too, so that it's just crossing all boards.
Absolutely, that's really good, because that's one of the ways you build rapport and connect with kids. If kids will really like lean into you, or that's how they learn how to trust you, when they recognize like, whoa, you see that I like something. I mean, we do that as adults too. Like that's how we show consideration. Like if I realize I want to be friends with you, and you actually remember that I like strawberry lemonade from Wendy's, and you're like, okay, I remember you like this. I'm gonna get you a $5 gift card so you get this. Like, okay, and yes, but like,
yes.
Why we can't go to Wendy's? Are they canceled like Target?
He was just there.
I wasn't just there.
We can't go to Wendy's?
No, Chick-fil-A.
He was just there.
Oh, okay. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the kids relate in the same way. If like you start to take interest in what they are, they're like, oh, okay, this person likes me. They see me, and I think that's the important part with not just kids but adults, but also the recognition of like seeing me and how important that is. Yeah. You guys have any thoughts around the building relationships with young kids?
I mean, we all know like. If you work with a certain population, then you need to be among population things. True. I see certain movies just so I can, talk about that movie or talk about certain characters, like Inside Out. One of the, great movies.
Love that. Yeah, take your kids. That's for adults too, y'all.
Yeah. But then I watch like a Despicable Me or Dog Man or certain films so that I can relate certain things to certain characters, especially like Marvel. So just be ingrained to know, and anime too. That's becoming like
kids are really into anime now.
Yeah, so I think that's important. So you can use that as tools when you're talking about certain things.
Okay, that's good.
I want to piggyback off of the building a rapport with the kids and seeing what they like, and following them when they go home. A lot of the kids don't get that attention and love and care at home. So, especially the population that I work with. Okay. I work with the low poverty kids. So when they come to school and you just give them a hug or you just give them that attention, or you just talk to them one-on-one, they love that. And you know, like you said, you Amber said, you show that interest in what they like. I went out and bought a little girl a shirt. It was $3. She was so elated, like she was so happy that I went and bought her the shirt. To me, it was nothing, you know what I mean? And to her, it was like everything. And it was like, we take a lot of stuff for granted, but you know, they just want that love.
She felt seen.
Seen and cared for. That like, oh, I must matter to you. That you would do something for me. You would think about me, and that might be that little girl's new favorite shirt.
Right.
So with that example though, Niche, did the parent, excuse me, like recognize or say anything? Did they show any type of respect, you know, or thanks to you for recognizing their kid and getting something?
To be honest, I don't even think she knows that I bought her the shirt. But I just remember like it was a pet day or animal day or something, and mom sent her to school with no animal, and everybody in her class had an animal on, and she felt some type of way that she didn't have an animal. So I didn't want her to feel left out. You know what I mean? So I went and bought that shirt, and like I said, she was just so happy. But again, it just goes to show, like, you know, even though we're showing them certain things in the school, we have to you know, tell that to the parents too, and like have them follow up with that, because we can't just show them the care at school and then y'all go home and be like, all right, get out my face. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my biggest thing with my population.
Working with kids, you can't not work with the parents. There has to be collaboration, there has to be connection, and I will be honest, I've worked in youth settings as well. I've worked in more behavioral, high risk psychiatric home youth settings, so it's oftentimes they don't have relationships with their parent. We in Jersey called it DIFAS once upon a time, but Child Protective Services in a way. But even where in private practice where I currently work, when I get kids, I let the parents know at intake, we will be working together. There's no like, your child comes with me for an hour, we teach tools, and then they go home, and then you're not working with the tools that I'm teaching them. So sometimes though, the parents could be the barrier between their kids' growth, between their advancement, between them trying to maintain and understand. So Niche, that brings up a very good point of like you trying to provide an enrichment and then realizing at home this may not be continuing. So what are you noticing about parents, and especially parents where there may be mental health challenges with their particular child? What do you see and notice around how parents are receptive to that or not?
I'm noticing that a lot of parents are in denial. They don't want to accept that their kids have behavioral issues, or they might be autistic, or they might be have anxiety or depression. They don't want to accept any of that. They want to just be like, oh, they're fine. But a lot of parents don't realize, like, these kids are 3, 4, 5 years old that I work with, and they've seen more than I've seen in my years. You know what I mean? So it's like, the way that I can handle life, they can't handle life because they see so much at home. So when they come to school, of course they're angry, of course they're tired, of course they're hungry, of course they're sad, because they might not have went to bed at a certain time. They might not have gotten a meal. They might not have gotten a bath. You know what I mean? So I just see a lot of pushback. My team actually held a chat and chew for the parents. To talk about getting on the same page with the parents, working together. And to be honest, a lot of the parents just came to eat. They came to eat. I probably had maybe like 2, maybe 3 parents that engaged. A lot of the other parents just sat there, ate, didn't say anything. And a lot of my behavioral kids' parents wasn't even there. So it's hard, because it's like, when we call it a reflection day. If we have a kid that we have to give a reflection day to, my whole thing is, before they come back, I want to talk to the parents. I want to have a meeting with the parents.
That's good.
So we can get on the same page with the behaviors and how we can fix it. I've had 1 meeting. The whole school year. The whole school year.
What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Avoids me.
I
Not
think
avoids you, like they avoid having conversation.
They don't want to schedule a meeting. They don't answer the phone. Or they might drop the kid off and hurry up before they know I'm in the building.
Actually, do you think that, and anybody can answer this, do you guys think that is them having denial about their children, and or them being ashamed and embarrassed and carrying shame for themselves, that perhaps it was their fault, they're the reason why maybe. And so having to face that their child is having a challenge feels more difficult than just realizing, recognizing, and getting the help.
I think it's a combination.
Yeah,
I mean, so some parents think it's the school's responsibility to take care of their kid. If their kid is acting up at school, then it's like it's your responsibility to deal with it. I also think it's, there's a slight embarrassment, and then there's a slight unknowing what to do. I think some parents have tried different things and they just don't know how to help, and I just think there's some confusion there. But it's irresponsible if you're just letting it go unchecked.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed that it's no longer just the school. You know, like normally you go to school to learn and you get everything you need at school, but now it's requiring the entire community to put their input, resources, their presence in order to help our students and our children to be successful. It's not just the teachers. No, it's not just the counselors, not just anybody in the school building. It's everybody. It's the entire village. Truly is the village now.
Yeah.
I don't know about to the village part.
What are you thinking?
I don't think the village is skewed these days.
Oh, yeah?
This is true. But there's accountability, though, on them.
Is there, though?
It is. It is. Okay, for instance, I'm going to say the church, right? We want children, right, in our churches because we don't want our churches to die, right? However, we're allowing children to walk past our churches every Sunday, every week, throughout the week. We don't provide or open up our doors for things that pull their interest. That's the village, right? And then you're talking about before about our parents not having the tools necessary to help their child. The churches can open their doors, provide workshops. It doesn't just have to always be at the school setting. That's what I mean by the village.
Andres, what's your take on the village being skewed?
I think that people, like, social media is like a big thing. It's an addiction. And people see a lot of things on social media where it can kind of make you second guess certain things. Certain places of safety have been, intruded upon. Back to the church now, of course, there's been shootings in the church and different incidences in the church, daycares, certain things happening with abuse and different things like that. And it's like, it's almost like, where is it to be safe?
Right.
That's what I mean by, the skewed village.
Okay, I agree.
So in what it sounds like both of you guys were sharing, and actually all three of you are sharing, is that there are resources, there are places, there's roles of accountability, there's acknowledgement of getting support. Do you think people don't know where to get support? And maybe also there's a factor of not trusting or knowing your village?
Absolutely.
I think a lot of the families, it goes back to the embarrassment too. They don't want to reach out and get help. They want to do it on their own, or they might feel like somebody might be too good for them. A therapist might look down on them, or a counselor or whatever might look down on them, and how can they tell me about my child, or how can they tell me about my family? So I think a lot of it is embarrassment, and a lot of parents don't take accountability for what they do because they may have been raised one way and they want to raise their kids the same, or they may not even know no better. They're growing just with their kids as their kids is growing. So they may look at it like, well, I'm good. I came up. My mom did this with me, so I'm going to continue.
Correct.
My kid's going to be okay too. Not even realizing like their kid is totally different than them. It's a whole nother generation. So, it's just, again, taking that accountability, but a lot of parents don't want to do that.
Yeah. And what you're talking about sounds like one of the sources of what we hear often in our society, in our media and things like that, but what we do all know as counselors of the generational trauma. And passing on parenting from past generations that you're like, I didn't like that, it didn't, didn't make me feel good, but that's all I know. So I'm going to carry that on. And that's a part of carrying on generational trauma. It's recognizing that was hurtful and harmful to me, but because I had to deal with it, then you have to deal with it too. No. We have the opportunities, and I'm not a parent. However, I am a godparent, I'm an auntie, I'm a part of many villages where there's recognition and accountability of recognize, like, you know what? that may be the best the way our parents did, what they know, but we actually do know a little bit more. Is it taking the time to realize, I don't really like that. That made me feel a way when a parent would say, you're not allowed to ask questions, or you couldn't be curious, or you couldn't speak up about how come you didn't like going to that particular auntie or uncle's house. And so you remember what that was. Why would you then inflict that upon your child? Why would you then force that? And it could be just a matter of, that's all I know.
Right.
However, is that all you want to know?
Right.
Are you choosing to know better? Are you choosing to do better? Where are the opportunities? And what that looks like is reaching out to resources. When a teacher, when a counselor, when somebody is reaching out and say, hey, I noticed this about your child, it is not a criticism of you and your lack of knowing and knowledge. When you don't know, you don't do. But when someone's trying to help you to know, then that's the opportunity to know and do better. So I think that sometimes we do it out of habit, and not really knowing how to break the cycle, but it just starts with recognition. Right. I remember what that was like when I was a kid. Is that what I want it to be like for my child? And it may require talking a little bit. I know now gentle parenting comes about, and I'm not really sure how that works. I'm not a parent, but I think people's remixing around what gentle parenting looks like. You also want to make sure you're equipping your kids to be resilient.
Right. Right.
They're going to have challenges. They're going to make mistakes and they're going to mess up. But it's not so much around protecting them from doing that, but it's how you support them in it and after.
Right.
What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Good.
I can say, with me becoming a mom, the way that, let me take that back. I can say becoming a mom now, the way that my mom and dad were is totally different of how I want to bring up my daughter. Meaning that, as I got into the mental health field, I noticed that, my mom and dad didn't have the resources. They didn't know what depression and anxiety and all that stuff was, and therapists and such. So, like my dad, he's the softer side, the gentle side, versus my mom is the kind of a little more not gentle parenting. So, but I've noticed as I've gotten older that her parents weren't that nature nurturing kind. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be that parent. I want my daughter to be able to come to me and talk to me. I want her to tell me how she feels. I'm going to hug her and kiss her and, give her the support and emotion, whatever that looks like. But I talk to my cousins about this all the time. Our parents is brothers and sisters, and I'm like, we can't be that parent. We have to break the cycle somehow.
Absolutely.
Because our parents, they all live different lives, but they were brought up with just like, do your thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't get that hug and that kiss and that I love you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be that parent. So I take, what I've been through with my parents or my mom and whatever, and I'm going to do the opposite with my child. So I think that's a big thing. We actually talked about that in my school as well. Like, just because you was brought up a certain way don't mean you have to teach your kids to be that way. You know what I'm saying? Your parents might have been super hard on you, but your kid is a gentle soul.
Right.
And they might just need a hug. And it's okay to give them a hug. So I think it's just, like you said, breaking that cycle and just, knowing different and reaching out to the resources and getting the help.
Yeah, that's good.
And also accepting that you need help. You know what I mean? Getting into that place that I'm not myself. I'm not in a good place with me. And as if you're a parent or even any adult, and you're not good, you can't be good to that child that's looking up to you or anybody that's looking up to you if you're not right yourself. So you have to be open and willing to say, hey, I'm not right. I'm not where I could be. And I need help. Like just saying that and just not being in denial of that and keep going, years after years, just going with it and just saying, I'm just going to put up with it, put up this front, lay down, wake back up and just be unhappy, right? But putting on that mask, that smile, but I'm really not, I'm holding on to things that I need to let go. I haven't let go, but I also haven't said, hey, I need help. Like so, and then also for me being a counselor, educator, making sure that I'm also, like Nisha said before, there's some situations that a lot of my students have endured I've never experienced ever, even as an adult. So I have to make sure that when I speak to parents that my words, I got to be mindful of my words. I got to make sure that I'm giving grace. I got to make sure that, first of all, I got to be authentic and just myself. It's not all that like higher and mighty or showing that you have these degrees. Nobody cares about that.
No,
Like, degrees don't matter, and that I need to be myself. I need to be kind.
Relatable.
I need to be gentle. I need to be soft. And I also need to be consistent. Not just saying that one time that, hey, this is what you need to do, bam, hand you some pamphlets, and then I'm done. No, I need to be consistent. I'm checking up on you, because I am. I'm going to blow your phone up. I'll pop up, too. Like, I do home visits, like you were saying. They didn't come to the school event. Guess what? I'm coming to you. Like, I'm coming. I'm going to pop up. That's just how I am. But I just want to, like, make sure that we're always being mindful of how we're saying what we're saying and how we're sharing the information.
For sure.
Andres, did you have feedback on, like, the idea around the village, recognizing that you and parenting differently? So on the topic of, like, parenting differently and not parenting as you did in the past and recognizing that.
I think one of my clients made an extreme notion. She said millennials are the worst parents. And I mean, it's perplexing because on the one hand, basically it's the idea of, like, generations go through extremes. Like, there was a generation where it's like you was beating your kid almost to death so they can stop doing something.
Yeah.
Then this next generation is like, no, we're not going to beat them.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, you know, it's. I mean, I'm not a parent, so I think there's a fine line. I think it's a. You have to know your kid. Each kid is different. I just think that from generation to generation, there's always going to be differences and there's always going to be similarities. I think that it's amazing to see grandparents with their grandkids.
Yeah,
because
they're different
people. Because there was one quote I forgot where I got it from, but it was in one of my books. It was like grandparents and grandkids and children they share this common enemy, and it's technically you. Because the kid may not like. I mean, you know, certain things my mom does. And then you may like have an issue with your parent because of the way you raised. Like I said, it's different.
Yeah.
They're the nicest people. Like,
wait a minute.
Who that person?
Right.
But at the same time, grandkids give parents a second chance to do certain things.
Yes. That's a good point. I actually had that conversation with my mom because she's a great grandmother now, and baby, even the grandkids say to her, You wasn't that grandma, you wasn't that nana to us. And I'm like, so if she wasn't that nana to y'all, she wasn't that mama to me. Okay? The way I got the hand and the mouth, like what?
Right.
But I said, Mama's like, you're a different person. She said, listen, when you were coming up, we were doing the best we can. I don't know now what I knew then. So I parented based upon what I knew. And she was like, also, I'm not their parent. So I kind of don't have to hold the reins so tightly to how to instruct and all that, because I know when they get home to their mama that it's going to go a certain way. So I may not have to do the 1, 2, 3. I could just do the 1 because they're going to get 2 and 3 on their way home. Right. So she was like, my role now too, she was like, and at this age, my mom is a beautiful 7-year-old. She's like, I'm not whooping. I'm not doing that right now. She's like, that's not how I want to use my energy and my time. So when I saw it in that lens, it made sense. Yeah, but also I also was like, they need to spoon. They can't do this. They can't, like, they don't know. Like my great nephew at Christmas, he was taking all the ornaments off the tree, and we were like, and kicking them around the floor. You know what my mama did? Joined in. Say what? Who are you? Like, it's just so interesting. But to the point around millennials being the worst parents, what came to mind is that I think a lot of millennials are parenting their children and trying to reparent themselves. They're also trying to heal their parent and childhood wounds while parenting their children. So that's a really tough place to be. When you're seeing kind of yourself and you're remembering that age, you're remembering that stage and how that made you feel, so you want to do it differently, but also you're sitting in the hurt around how it was also done to you. So that's a complex place to be. So at least even when we're talking about parents maybe doing it not right or having the best, we're also extending that grace to say they did what they knew were best. But what's important is to be humble enough to recognize you may not have done it the right way. That may not be what your kid needed. And also recognizing that your kids need different things than you. We're in a different generation. The exposure, what they know, what they can do. So what they need now, it may not be the same as what you needed. But it's also important, and when I work with parents that also have multiple children, is recognizing that your kids all need different things. How you parented the oldest, how you the middle, and all of that, their expression of who they are individuals. How you do it, that doesn't mean you don't need to have the same structure and discipline, but how you do it. Some kids may need to hear it more than once. And that may not even just be that they might have an ADHD or they may have a learning disability. It may just be their level of understanding is different. Some kids can hear it once and go. Some kids do need a little bit more hug, and that doesn't mean they're the weaker kid, but it's recognizing what your kid needs and offering at that extent in that way. So in pivoting a little bit from talking about kids and how we work with the parents. Andres, what are your thoughts around men's mental health?
I think, well, one thing I want to start with positive. I think there's been more improvement. Meaning, mental health is such a big thing now. You know, you hear basketball players talking about it, you hear like famous people talking about it, actors, whoever it may be. So I think it's becoming more widespread. I think there's still like this notion and this, reluctance to say, hey, I need help. I think a lot of men wait until something bad happens to address certain things. Or they're urged from their partners or a family member, like, you need to go or you better go. It's like it can be an ultimatum as well. One of the main things I see in when I'm dealing with men is like this suppression of feelings. They be like, I don't know how to be empathetic. I don't know how to feel. I haven't cried in years because they weren't allowed to. And when you're not allowed to, then now it starts to become of who you are.
Yeah.
I have one client, he's just like, I don't even really feel feelings when I'm around my kids, but certain things when it comes to my partner or when it comes to other things, I'm just like disengaged to it.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where you're like, and honestly, it's like a survival tactic because like in middle school and high school, you go ahead and cry if you want to.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, like, you're all over, all over the school, like, you're a punk, you this, you that.
Right.
And so it's like, now I can't be those things. But then when I get in a relationship with somebody, I'm realizing, oh, snap, there's some stuff really wrong.
Right.
And then, last thing, men always want to figure things out on their own.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll figure it out. I'm cool. I'll deal with it later. So, but I will say, like, I will say, once again, that more men are starting to go to therapy, whether willingly or unwillingly.
Okay. Ladies, what are your thoughts around men being more open to therapy?
I welcome it.
Okay.
No, I welcome it because if you can't be open with me or with, any female, I want you to go somewhere where you can learn how to be open or feel safe and comfortable to teach you how to be open.
Yeah.
Therefore, you'll be ready for, being a father, being open with your kids, and being in a relationship open with that significant other, wife or girlfriend or whatever. So I welcome it. I strongly welcome it. And I also, I think a lot of men still have that's not the manly thing to do. Or, like showing emotion or crying. Like men don't do, no, cry. Because I want to make sure that it feels like you feeling what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Show me that you understand and feel what I'm saying. So yes, I welcome it. Like, get what you need, and especially now in this time, we have more resources that are available for, all of us. So get what you need. Get what you need.
Yeah. That's good. Yes, sir. What are your thoughts, Nisha, on men going into mental health, but also that I love how Andre said it, like the emotional suppression and feeling disconnected and maybe even dissociating in a way of just how to survive and to show up of not being comfortable with those feelings.
I have a few things to say about it.
Okay, girl, talk on it. Speak on it. We here.
One with the suppression. I actually just had this conversation with my partner. I'm going to say, and
your boo, your significant other. Okay.
And I was saying to him, like, it's okay to go to therapy. You were taught like not to do that. You can just talk to your family members or whatever. But it's in this day and age, it's okay. Nobody's gonna judge you. Nobody's gonna look at you differently. And he said to me, I don't even know where to start. And I was like, just talk.
Yeah.
That's all it is just talking. Yes, I went to school for social work, but therapy is not my cup of tea.
It's been her tea, y'all. It's been her tea.
I'm like, you can talk to me, you know what I'm saying? But I'm someone that you're with all the time. I need you to get somebody from the outside looking in and talk to them. And from a man's perspective, they can break it down for you better than I can. Like, yes, I'm your safe space, but I want you to be able to go and talk to someone else. I have a cousin who has started therapy, and he was like, it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Wow, it's amazing.
He was like, if I didn't go, I don't know what I would have done. He was like, it's helped me so much.
Nice.
But today, at my school, we had an event, and I seen a dad yelling at his kids. Like, he went from 0 to 1,000 in 5 seconds because they were crying. And I wanted to say to him so bad, like, Dad, relax. Yeah. Let them cry. Because they're going to grow up and they're going to feel like, I can't cry because my dad's going to yell at me. My dad's going to be mad at me.
Yes. It's real talk. We see it every day. I got adult males now that like, I can't cry. Flashback to 6, and my dad was like, "You better swallow that up and man up." And I'll be like, "No."
And it's like, it's okay. Let them cry. Yeah, it's annoying, but let them cry. They're kids.
Yeah.
But maybe you need to go
and cry.
Right.
And get that out. And talk about it, because you just went from 0 to 1,000 just because they were crying and they're kids. They're 3 years old, 4 years old. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely say that it is the greatest thing for men or women, whoever, to go to therapy, because you need it. Excuse me. I went to therapy. We all went to therapy.
In therapy.
Therapists need therapy.
A therapist in therapy. Necessary, important.
It's very important.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I gotta go back.
Yes, go back.
I do too. But I definitely just had that conversation this week with him, and I'm like,
that's good.
I support you.
Yeah.
And that's good that you can have that conversation with each other. You know
yes.
what I mean?
Yes.
That's very good. That's healthy in a relationship. You know what I mean? To have that open conversation, like, even if we're safe together, you know, our safe space, there's still an outlet that you can have and go seek beyond us.
And I think that, you know, breaking generational curses and generational trauma, we have to stop. Like, therapy was weaponized.
Yes.
It was like, you need therapy. You need therapy. And so it just further deters people from it.
Yep.
So I think that, like you said, you're saying it from a place of love and from a place of, I want us to work out. I want you to be successful. I want us to be successful. Our family to be successful. So this is the outlet. This is a resource that you can use. And like you just said, I tell my clients all the time, there's no expectations here. You come in here, you talk, we talk about anything you want, and then you leave. I do give out homework because I want it to still be on your mind. But like to say, there's no, and I think people think therapy is this big, grand thing, and it really is a conversation.
It is.
You know, it's like talking to somebody, you know, while you wait for, I don't know, a sandwich or on the subway or whatever it may be. It's really just a conversation.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, you bring up a great point around, and this was actually in one of my notes to talk about, is kind of debunking the myths about therapy and going to therapy. And honestly, what's important in Mental Health Awareness Month is to address the stigmas around mental health challenges, being labeled crazy, going to therapy, and what it all means. And so one of the things I think that comes up a lot around why people don't want to go is to the point of what Andre said about it being weaponized and people being fearful around being labeled. So one of the things I want to discuss is the importance of not being so quick to label people. Labeling perpetuates the stigmas around why people don't want to get help. Because if they do seek it out, then you automatically, you must be crazy, you must be this. Stop calling people bipolar, psychotic, schizophrenic if you are not licensed or trained. Please stop. Because it is very harmful and it's divisive. And then for the people that do have these diagnosed from psychiatrists, psychologists, from therapists, from licensed clinicians, that then makes them feel like they are not allowed to even disclose and feel comfortable with you. And then for the people that are having symptoms that they do need to get addressed, that makes them carry shame. Okay? And shame is often things that we hold based upon what other people feel, and then that can translate into guilt. And guilt becomes your internal suffering around how you feel about yourself from outward and inward expectations and factors. Okay? So let's stop labeling people. That is one of the important ways of how we break the stigma. Make it normalized. If you need help, you go call your homegirl. Just because your homegirl go call that lady being me, that doesn't mean she's crazy. And it's so funny when I talk to friends and they're like, they're meaning to go talk to the lady. I cracked up in one session one time because a client came to me and he was like, yeah, my girlfriend keeps saying I need to go talk to somebody. And I instantly started laughing internally because I'm like, oh shoot, I'm the lady. I'm the lady in the joke that they say go talk to the lady. If you got to go talk to the lady or the man or whoever, go talk to them. Because it's no different than you talking to the village mother, the lady on the corner of the scoop. Our parents have been talking to each other about their problems for years, just not getting paid for it, okay? Or not getting actually trained skills, but not getting objective and subjective, because it's both support. But you're also getting it from a person who has studied around what your challenges are. And so therapy really is a safe space for you to kind of just be you. Take off the heaviness. Take off all that you've been carrying. It is the mask. It's a judgmental free space for you to just unload, inhale. There are sometimes in sessions with clients that say, if you just need to breathe for the first 15 minutes, that's what we'll do, because the amount of people that are walking around holding their breath literally. literally holding their breath. And therapy provides the space for you to exhale.
Yeah.
So the importance of not labeling is allowing for people to feel comfortable in recognizing that I am having some challenges without fear of someone criticizing and placing a label.
Right.
So also be mindful of how we label our children.
Yeah.
And what you recognize and what you see, because they carry around those labels with them.
Yeah.
And then that becomes a part of their identity and how they see themselves. So be mindful if they are crying or different things, that is an expression of them, but not who they are.
Right.
Just because they are crying, that doesn't mean they are a cry baby. They're crying. And to like the example what Nisha said about the kids crying because they're kids. When I was in Bermuda a couple months ago, one of my little cousins, he was like 6 or 7, and he was crying, and his aunt was like, "Why are you crying so much?" He said, "Because I'm a kid, and that's what I'm supposed to do." And I said, "In period."
It's a little borderline. I love the honesty, but it's like, what you say?
That's what he
Yeah.
said. Right.
Good.
It
That's
is
what I'm
one of those,
supposed
but
to do.
he's right. That's
I
what we
feel
do.
you.
They don't really, he's like, I don't have the tools yet to
Right.
explain to you why I'm frustrated about
Right.
what's happening. So my expression of that is crying. And so maybe it's a point around, sometimes we all just need to cry. You don't have the words
Right.
to say.
Right.
And so creating the space to make those things normal, and the fact that you having these feelings is normal. It doesn't have to be a part of your identity. It's a feeling. It's not the I am of who you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Something else that, Andre, so don't want to go too far off from men's topic. What do you think are some of the main reasons why men don't openly talk about their feelings? Let's say particularly in intimate relationships or even within their own family.
I mean, it's the biggest thing. It's like, I just don't want to appear weak. You
Okay.
know, it's just like, I think even now this generation calls it like, you know, the alpha males, beta males, and different things like that. You just never want to appear weak.
Wait, we say beta because I feel like that's the cool kids. Like,
That's what. No, I'm not saying this generation. I'm talking about
oh,
not
okay.
us.
They got their own lingo.
No,
And
yeah.
my great niece was like, don't be a beta. I said, girl, what? Because that sounds too close to another B word, and I don't know what we're saying here.
Right. It's just really, it's about weakness. It's about, you know, I can't be this person. I can't, like, that's why people get in fights sometimes, because everybody's looking, everybody's watching. I'm embarrassed, but I have to do something. I have to stand up for myself.
Yeah.
Or now, you know, this situation or the people around me are going to constantly talk about me.
Yeah.
So I think that's, you know, that's what it comes down to. I've had clients, grown clients, they be like, you know, I wish I had friends in relationships where it be like, I can be a certain way with you.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to talk about sports. It's great to talk about,
That's
you know, what's
good.
going on and
Right.
this and that, but nobody want to talk about feelings. And now let me retract it. People do want to talk about feelings, but they don't have the spaces.
Yeah.
Because with my boys, you can be like, yo, man, I'm really feeling sad right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really feeling this. And so with them, what does it come out as? It's like, you know, now we smoking, now we drinking, and now we masking it with, you know, a bunch of sex or
maladaptive
pornography
coping.
or whatever it is, because it's like, every time you see me, I got to be a certain way.
Yeah.
Every time. Like, and if I'm sad, it has to come off as angry. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But it hurts, bro. It's okay if it hurts.
Right.
So, that's like I said, just that appearing. And then, to some credit too, like, there are some people that won't let you do it either.
Yeah.
You know, even like I said, partners. There's some partners be like, "Oh, you a weak man, you this." That's why, dudes can't get down on their luck. They can't lose their job. They can't do this because now I'm a weak man. Now I'm not taking care of my responsibilities.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you talk about is a lot of safety in friendships, but also being allowed to actually be something other than what everyone expects you to be.
Right. Right. Why do I have to why did it have to be a funeral or that's when I can be sad?
Yeah.
You know, it can't be nothing else. Like, even with a breakup, like, you gonna be, and then we always have this, like, and I get it. It's like a solution for hurry up and get to the end of the finish line. Like, yo, bro, like, if you broke up with your girl, and let's say it's been like 5-6 years, that hurts. But it's like, bro, you gonna be all right. We got these girls. Like,
Yeah.
nah, let my man feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then and this is one thing that's probably like off topic a little bit. I hate when people say, yo, you shouldn't feel this way, or don't be mad, or don't stop saying that to people. That is crazy to me. Like,
Exactly.
if you feel that, I had to tell my friend,
Yeah.
now they be
Yeah.
throwing it to me.
Yeah.
I be like, yo, I feel that. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's okay for me to feel that way.
Yes. Yeah, just because someone has feel it and you don't agree with that doesn't mean you can tell them how they feel.
Correct.
We can't tell people how they feel.
Yeah.
We're also telling, and just because the way you feel also doesn't we can't use our feelings to weaponize to get people to do what we want them to do because that's how we feel too. Your feelings are yours and your own response. I'm sorry, girl. It's like I'm about to hit you, huh?
Yeah.
Your feelings. It's love, not abuse. It's love, not abuse. But your feelings are your own responsibility, and because they're your own responsibility, it also is not for the other person hearing them to tell you how they feel. You can express, I don't really understand why you feel that way, but it's not for you to criticize or tell them in that example too. In that example too. Andres, what would you say is, what are some ways that people can create safe spaces for men in their lives to feel more comfortable with expressing themselves emotionally?
I'm a part of a couple of groups like when it comes to therapy, and then like Black men therapy. Like a lot of people are creating like just chill zones, like basically groups like we meet every couple weeks or whatever, every week in a barbershop or just somewhere, you know, where people can really have real conversation. I think we have to create certain conversations. I think sometimes as a group is great. I love group therapy because it's like understanding you're not the only person.
Yeah.
You know, you're not the only man. There's a 60-year-old guy that has experience what you have at 20 or 15, whatever. There's nothing new under the sun. So I think that's one of the biggest things. I think going back to people that go to school for certain things, I'm really big on what do you want to do with your degree, because we got to recruit more.
Yeah.
You know, in this field, I think mentorship is really good. I think that, you know, setting an example and understanding, like a lot of the young men I see, their dads are not there.
Yeah.
You know, here we are, 2025, just dads that live in a whole different states don't even call their kids. Their kids got to call them. But we just got to really create those spaces. And if we want those spaces, we have to, you know, it starts with you, too.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're talking to your homies, like, yo, I remember a couple of times my friends wanted to talk about like finances, like, yo, these days we want to talk about finances, but also we can talk about feelings too, you know. So I think that is great when people are starting these different groups and you're seeing more Black and brown therapists, you know, available to you.
Yeah.
So we just have to be able to, you know, like I said, just come in and check it out.
Yeah, Black and brown therapists, we need you. Black male therapists, we need you. If you are somebody that right now are listening or thinking about going to the field of counseling, we need you. Go get trained, get your education, get your support.
And get this money.
Jesus.
I mean, I'm just saying.
But to piggyback off what you were saying about, you know, checking in, not just with men, but just I think another thing too that just with life that we're all so busy with the hustle and bustle that we don't take time to say, we say, hey girl, whatever, but we don't say, how are you?
Yeah, genuinely.
We don't really say, how are you? And then wait, I was at a equity conference this past week, and this first like activity we did with our partner is that we took 2 minutes and this person shared like a time that, you know, that brought us into the field we're in. But in that 2 minutes, all you had to do was listen. You couldn't respond. You couldn't, you know, give a comment. You had to just listen. And I even want to be like, oh, you know, but you couldn't say anything or be like, oh, I felt that way. You couldn't say anything. Yes. But just to take like 2 minutes to ask someone like, how are you? And then sit there and listen and let them actually answer that. Because I'm like, girl, I'm good. How are you? But like life is a lot. Yeah, I get it. Life is a lot. But I also feel like because of life, you know, I get it. But if someone pops like into your mind, like reach out to them because there's a reason they're in your mind. Check in as much as you can. You know what I mean? Don't overdo it because you got to make sure you're good with yourself too. Because sometimes you can check in with someone that's having a heavy day or heavy things going on that can come onto you as well. So just be mindful of that. But just asking the question, how are you? Yeah. And genuinely mean it.
That's good. That's good. Nisha, what's your thoughts on in a tip type of way relating to your mental health and how you're feeling and being okay?
I want to piggyback off of what Amber was saying with the check-in thing. I'm bad at checking in. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I'm bad because, and I'm gonna be completely honest, sometimes I don't be feeling like talking. Like, you just be so burnt out because life be lifing.
Yeah.
And you, like, somebody might pop in your head and you might want to shoot that text or call them or whatever the case may be, but you just be so burnt out. But it is great to do check-ins with loved ones or friends or whatever the case may be. But I also wanted to touch on what Andre said. You said someone didn't have feelings when it came to their kids and their significant other and stuff like that. My girlfriend just posted a post on Instagram and it was about hidden depression.
Mm-hmm.
And being in this field.
Was it Judith Joseph?
Yes, on the Breakfast Club.
Mm-hmm.
I have never, ever heard that. Or maybe I heard it and I didn't pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
But I never heard it. And it was so deep.
Yeah.
Like, you're so engaged in what you're doing in your life.
It's like
and
high
bearing
functioning from
yourself.
depression.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're depressed. And it just hit, like, so deep. Because it was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of us go through that and don't
Yeah.
even realize we're going through
Yes.
that. So the check-ins come into play. That's great with that. I've noticed with a few family members, like, they need that check-in because they are going through something, and they just need you to shoot that text or just say, hey, how are you? Just thinking about you, you know. And some may go ghost, you know, because you haven't checked in on them.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna get personal,
But
but
confessional.
Right.
But I'm just saying,
That's
like,
real. That's real.
No,
Yeah,
it does happen.
it is because
It's
it
honest,
just be
yeah.
it just
Yeah.
be a lot. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I just want to come home and just
Yeah,
Shut
take a
up.
breath.
Yes.
Especially given the work that we do.
yeah.
Like, you know, we have to be very mindful of how, and this is for everybody, but
Yeah.
and just in speaking to some of the work that we do, of how we carry the loads around our interactions. Like,
Right.
we're literally taking in a lot of energy
Yeah.
around what
Yeah.
people have going on. So in that way of, like, that decompression time may last 1 or 2 days. Like, it may require a lot of re-energizing. So it's recognizing it for yourself, even in whatever work capacity you have, is realizing, like, oh, I need that to decompress and recompress. But also, when, like Amber said, if someone does come to mind, you know, making the time, but also being sure that you have the capacity for it too.
Right,
Right.
right.
Be mindful of your own capacity in that type of
Yeah.
way, and be honest and say, I'm checking in on you. If it gets a little deeper, like, I'm here. However, this may, and maybe shoot them a resource. This
Yeah.
may be a space or time for, like, X, Y, and Z, or maybe let's schedule some time for us to really talk. I just wanted to check in today and be honest about it too, in that type of way. Any other self-care tip you guys want to offer as we come to close?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You bringing up the work that we do and taking in everybody else's stuff, that is so heavy because when I go to work, I never know what story I'm going to get from these kids.
Yeah.
These kids may have seen somebody get locked up.
Yeah.
They may have seen somebody shooting up. They may have seen somebody getting killed, getting locked up. They may not have had a meal. Like, and they're sharing this with you, and you're like, wow.
Right.
You're
All at
so
8 a.m.
young,
Mhm.
going through
At
this.
3 or 4 years old.
3 or
Right,
4
yeah.
years old.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm in my 30s, and I've never
You look
ever
good,
experienced.
girl.
Thanks, girl. And I've never experienced anything like that, like, ever. And it's like, you're so little, and you don't even know what life is yet, and you are experiencing this. So that be heavy on me.
Yeah.
Because I want to take them home because I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is so sad.
You got your own kid, though. We can't be
I
taking all
know.
these kids.
But still, and then I come home to my own kid, and I'm
Right.
like, how can somebody do that?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How, like, I couldn't even imagine if my daughter had to experience it.
Right.
So, yeah. I just
No,
want to
that's
say.
good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But even with that, like, I know for me, I've always done this ever since I've started in the education field. Before I go into my house, I sit in my car. The time, it varies depending on how heavy the day was. But I try not to take work into my home. Because home, it needs to be peace. It needs to be my safe space. It needs to be my unwinding time. Even though I'm always thinking about what to buy, buy my kids, what to do next or whatever. But I try to decompress my hardest. I try to sit in the car and just like breathe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And kind of just take in the
self-care-
whole day.
Self-care moment.
Taking the whole day. But definitely leave work at work.
Yes.
It took me a minute to get here, but I remember
every
telling,
job.
I remember telling an instructional assistant, she was very, very concerned about taking off for her health and doctors, things like that. And I told her, I said, listen, God forbid if you left here tonight, they're going to put a posting up for you tonight, and there's someone in your spot tomorrow.
Yeah.
So take care of you. It doesn't matter. Like, that job is going to be there, but you have to take care of you.
Yeah.
So make sure you take that time to take a you day, however that looks like for you, whether it's in the bed, whether it's going into the spot, whatever, however that feels for you. Take that, but leave work at work.
Yeah.
That's where it belongs. They don't pay you at home. They pay you at work.
That's
leave
part-
it there.
Yeah.
Leave it there.
No, that's good. And my recommendation and tip to as we close and wrap up will also be in taking that time, but schedule your joy. A lot of people are like, what is self-care? Whatever brings you joy, that is self-care.
Yeah.
Schedule it though, because a lot of times we're like, oh, I'm gonna take the time, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make the time, but schedule it, because you actually have to make the time. There really will rarely be moments where there will be time. As we've gotten older, we realize there will always be something to do. There will always be something going on. There will always be a bill that needs to be paid.
Right.
So schedule the time. You deserve that.
Right.
Peace is your God-given right.
Yeah.
As a human being. And we're so focused often on doing stuff. We are not human doings. We are human beings, okay?
Right.
So do what you can to be. And that looks like scheduling your joy. That looks like taking the time out for you. That looks like investing in your mental health. That looks like investing into you and your own wellness, okay? So take the time, schedule it, and prioritize you. Because without you, so many other people won't get the joy of knowing you if you're not taking care of you.
Yeah.
So, guys, we did it.
This was great.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk about.
What do you want to talk about before we leave?
No, because I don't see.
I
That's
thought
what we do. See?
I thought you did.
No, I didn't say nothing about the self care.
You
shit.
said-
But I don't need it because I'm a man, right?
No,
leave
it
Go ahead. Here's the mic.
you
Here's
said
the
you
mic. Take
from,
the mic.
from my
Take
notes.
the mic.
Okay, my notes. Your self care tip was rated more representation.
No,
Was it
that
not?
wasn't a self care tip. You
Okay,
told me to.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
okay.
Here, take the
Alright,
mic.
alright.
Take the
Self-care
mic. Here,
tip.
take the mic.
So,
My land.
and closing.
Okay,
it's
preacher.
a pick back, like you said, like, you know, choose you. Like, and mindfulness is very important. And staying in the moment. Like, listen, I mean, life is, like you said, everybody says life be life, but sometimes you just have to sit and just be in the moment and just, you know,
In the present.
be you in the present. And also, like to, you know, what y'all was saying, just understand what type of person you are, what type of friend you are, what type of daughter you are, what type of cousin you are, whatever you are. I'm a person, like, I like to reach out to people. I want, you know, people to get along
We
with
do?
me. What?
I was reading her page.
Dude,
Oh, dear.
You're right.
Okay.
We gonna keep
Okay.
this cute.
So, like I said, I know. We get to this. Like I said, and like I said, make sure
Selective reach out.
you look like I said. Make sure you focus on your physical health, like what you eat, what you put into your body.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Your mental health, what you expose yourself to. The relationships you expose yourself to. Being in toxic relationships is not cool. It's gonna wear on you. And also whatever your spirituality, just lean into that too.
Yeah.
I think people sometimes take that for granted, and you know, that's a space in journal. Like, you know, journal some stuff, because then once you see it written down, like,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
all right.
That's good.
All right.
That black and white.
Wait, and you're allowed to say no.
Yes.
No is a complete sentence.
And-
Except to the IRS.
Oh.
Yeah, you go ahead and say no to that. Yeah, and go to the gym and get some sun. Oh yeah, get some sun.
Get
Like,
some sun, yes. Get some
sun.
vitamin D. It's been
Yeah.
a little, over here in the East Coast, a little rainy and a little gloomy, but get
Yeah,
some sun.
get
You
some
need that
sun.
vitamin D.
Sun.
Get outside, touch some grass,
Yes.
get some air,
Yes.
rejuvenate, go for walks. Walks are very helpful,
Yes.
especially when
And healthy.
dealing with anxiety, going for walks, the bilateral movement of having your, we'll get into that another time. But go for walks. Invest in yourself, because you matter. Your mental health matters.
It does.
And
Yes, it does.
we care about y'all. So we hope you care
Yeah.
about yourself. So until next time, if there's a next time,
It'll be next.
deuces.